Hello everyone! Today we'll dive into the Scotch Gambit and explore some fascinating traps within this opening. Alright everyone, let's break down the Scotch Gambit step by step. It begins with the moves pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and pawn to d4. Typically black captures on d4, and in the main line of 2018 the Scotch, we recapture with the knight using knight takes d4. However, in the Scotch Gambit, we opt for bishop to c4, willingly giving up the d4 pawn. Before diving deeper into this bishop to c4 move, let me show you a clever tactic with knight to g5. The most common response from black is pawn to h6, but interestingly, white wins 72% of the time from this position. Why? Because we can sacrifice the knight with knight takes f7. Black is forced to capture the knight, otherwise they risk losing their queen or rook. Keep in mind, this aggressive line is best suited for beginners, and I'll explain why shortly. After king takes f7, we continue with bishop to c4 check, and black usually has two main choices, either retreating the king to e7 or e8. King to e8 is the most common response, and nearly 150,000 players have fallen for this deadly trap. But why is it so effective? After king to e8, we continue with queen to h5, delivering a check that leads to an unavoidable checkmate. Black can try to defend with pawn to g6, but it doesn't change the outcome, as we simply capture the pawn, and the situation remains the same. Alternatively, if black plays king to e7, we respond with queen to f7 check. The only move for black is king to d6. Now we continue with bishop to f4 check, forcing black to choose between king to c5 or knight to e5. If the king runs to c5, we play queen to d5 check. Black then faces a choice between king to b6 or king to b4, but in both cases, we deliver a checkmate with queen to b5. Let's rewind a few moves. If black blocks with the knight on e5 instead of moving the king, we play queen to d5 check. Now black can retreat to e7, but we simply capture the knight with the queen, delivering checkmate once again. However, the critical move for black is king to e7 instead of king to e8. By choosing king to e7, black prevents the devastating queen to h5 check, avoiding the trap. In this scenario, a checkmate is not possible, so I recommend playing pawn to c3. Black will likely capture the pawn, since otherwise we can take it for free. After black captures, we recapture with the knight, creating a threat of knight to d5 check. To address this, black often responds with knight to f6, a natural move. Afterward, we castle, and black may play pawn to d6. In response, we push pawn to f4. Although we are currently down a whole piece, specifically one knight, with an equal number of pawns, it's challenging to say black is clearly better or winning. Even though the computer evaluates the position as roughly -1 in black's favor, black's king remains stuck in the center and unable to castle. Our plan is to open the center with moves like pawn to e5 and rook to e1, aiming to exploit black's vulnerable king despite being down a piece. If you find these types of dynamic and aggressive positions intriguing, feel free to try them in your own games or dive deeper into the Scotch Gambit for more exciting traps and ideas. Now, one final point I'd like to highlight is the best move suggested by the engine in this position. According to Stockfish 3, the optimal move is king to g6. After king to g6, if we play queen to g4 check, black can safely tuck the king away on h7. If we deliver another check, black can block with pawn to g6. If we check on f7, the bishop can intercept, and somehow, black's king remains safe on h7 with no effective way for us to continue the attack. Keep in mind, we've already sacrificed a piece from the start. However, don't be discouraged if your opponent manages to find this precise defense. If your opponent plays king to g6, followed by king to h7, it's likely they have either analyzed this position with an engine or are outright cheating. For a human player, making these precise moves on the board is extremely difficult and unnatural unless they have encountered this line before. That's why I usually recommend this knight to g5 variation for beginner players or for those looking for a quick win in Blitz or bullet games. Now you might be wondering if this line works against higher rated opponents or even titled players. The answer is yes. In Lichess games, I've found many players rated above 2,000 who fall for this trap. After knight takes f7, king takes f7, and bishop to c4 check, a surprising number of players, almost 150,000, opt for king to e8, which is a critical mistake. This tactic can work against strong opponents, but in the long run, I would mainly recommend this variation for beginner to intermediate level players. Now let's return to the main topic with the move bishop to c4. At this point, black has three options. black can play bishop to b4 check. Black can play bishop to c5 to defend the pawn. Black can play knight to f6, attacking our pawn on e4. Let's first examine bishop to b4 check. The idea is simple. Black gives a check, and if we block with the bishop or knight on d2, it prevents our queen from targeting the pawn on d4. This is a common way for black to try and hold on to the pawn. However, instead of capturing back with the knight, we play pawn to c3. If black captures the pawn, we don't recapture with the knight, but instead take back with the pawn. This subtle choice is crucial because it gains a valuable tempo by attacking the bishop, giving us the initiative. Now the bishop has three main retreat options: bishop to a5, bishop to c5, or bishop to e7. Let's first consider bishop to e7. This move is quite passive, and white can immediately gain material with queen to d5. The plan is simple: capture on f7 and deliver checkmate. If black tries to defend with knight to h6, we can simply capture the knight with our bishop. If black recaptures, queen takes f7 results in checkmate. If black castles instead, we can retreat the bishop and remain a piece up, giving white a comfortable advantage. Now, if black chooses bishop to c5, we respond with bishop takes f7 check. After king takes f7, we play queen to d5 check, creating a double attack on the king and the bishop. This tactic wins back the piece and recovers the pawn on f7, leaving white in a strong position. It's crucial to remember to play bishop takes f7 check first. If you start with queen to d5, aiming for the same double attack, it fails because black can respond with queen to e7. This move simultaneously defends the f7 square and the bishop on c5, preventing us from gaining material. Therefore, the correct sequence is bishop takes f7 check first. After king takes f7, we play queen to d5 check. Black usually retreats the king to e8. If the king goes to f8 or e7, we can simply capture the bishop with check. After king to e8, we capture the bishop, recovering the sacrificed pawn. Black's king has already moved, so castling is no longer an option. White can easily bring the king to safety, develop the pieces, and place a rook on d1 or e1, leaving black's king trapped in the center. However, if black retreats the bishop to a5, capturing on f7 no longer works. After king takes f7, queen to d5 check fails because the bishop is now protected by the knight. In this position, we are going to castle, a simple yet effective move to complete our development. This setup already makes it difficult for black to continue developing smoothly. For instance, if black plays a natural move like knight to f6, intending to castle on the next turn, we can immediately put pressure on black's position with bishop to a3. This clever move controls the diagonal and prevents black's king from castling. If black tries to solve this problem by playing pawn to d6, blocking the diagonal and aiming to castle on the next move, we have a strong response: pawn to e5. The idea is straightforward. We attack the knight. If black captures with the pawn, the diagonal reopens, activating our bishop along the diagonal once again. We sacrifice a pawn, but in return, black's king remains stuck in the center. Only after this exchange do we play queen to b3, aligning the queen and bishop along a deadly diagonal aimed at the king's side. Our threat is simple, yet powerful. We intend to capture on f7 in the next move. At this point, black's position becomes very uncomfortable. If black tries to defend by playing bishop to e6, we simply capture the bishop. After pawn takes, we have multiple options. One possibility is queen takes b7, creating a deadly threat. Since black cannot block with the queen due to the bishop's pin, the knight must step in to defend. Here, we continue with knight takes e5, threatening ideas like knight to f7, or queen to f7 check, putting black's king in serious danger. The position is extremely dangerous for black, and it's difficult to find a reliable defense. I hope you understand all these variations. If you think this video is helpful for you, then like and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching.